This DVMax training session will discuss the component known as the Patient Notes tab of the Patient General Information screen. If we search for a patient, in this case, Mickey, and his last name is Bass, that will take us directly to Mickey's General Information screen. Notice at the top of the screen there are various tabs which will take us directly to those components that are attached to Mickey's General Information screen. In this case, let's click on the Notes tab. Clicking on the Notes tab takes us to the Notes section of Mickey's General Information. Notice at the top are listed major problems. Major problems might have been added directly by typing directly into the Major Problems section as needed, or DVMax may also be directed to automatically make entries into the Major Problem list by virtue of the application of a diagnosis or a medical record entry that has been labeled to be a major problem. For instance, if we take a look at diagnoses that might be applied to a patient, in this case, let's look for diagnoses that include the word fracture. If indeed we consider a cranial fracture to be a major problem, we can simply identify that item as a major problem by placing a check mark next to the component labeled major problem. That means that the next time we add fracture-cranium as a diagnosis, not only will this item add to the diagnosis list for that patient, but it will also automatically add to the major problem list for that animal. There might also be lots of diagnoses that are not considered to be major problems. For instance, an abrasion or a corneal scratch or a bee sting. Those are problems, but perhaps not major problems. It is also possible to identify various medical record entries as major problems so that they also automatically add to the major problem list. For instance, if we say that a surgery, for instance a TPLO, might have been performed due to a major problem with the cruciate ligament, that item can also be identified as a major problem. That means that whenever we sell or provide this particular item in the animal's history, it will also post to the major problem list without any additional operations performed by the user. Let's go back to the Notes section for this patient. The next item down includes comments. The comments might include every single weight that has ever been taken for this animal. Also, anytime a rabies tag is provided for this animal in the course of selling a rabies vaccine and providing a rabies vaccine for this patient, automatically a tag number will be generated along with a date. That is also entered automatically by DVMax into the comments section. Should this animal ever be transferred to another client or transferred back from another client, those are also recorded under the comments section automatically without any additional work by the user. Another very helpful function of DVMax is the charting and graphing of weights of the animal. Notice at the bottom of the screen we can see that there is indeed a graph, which is a graphical representation of the weights that have been entered for this patient. The weights will be listed off to the right. The graph, of course, is to the left. This is a great feature when you're trying to demonstrate to a client the weight loss or lack thereof upon the use of a weight loss diet. In the case of a mistaken entry of a weight, it's possible to remove that weight from the animal's record and thus also remove it from the graph. In this case, let's suppose that the 10-pound entry that was made on 4/8 of 08 was incorrect. By selecting it, clicking on it, in other words, to highlight it, and then clicking the Remove Weight button, we get a double check from DVMax asking, are we sure we want to delete the 10-pound weight? If again we say yes, notice that the weight will be removed from the chart on the right as well as from the graph on the left. As a final comment pertaining to the Notes section of the Patient General Information screen, it's worth knowing that you can also access that section by utilizing keyboard shortcuts. In the case of an Apple keyboard, Apple button followed by N. In the case of a Windows keyboard, Control button followed by N will automatically gain access to the Notes section for this patient.